Welcome students, this is Ravi Shankar and today we are going to study about the next application of the Gauss law, the second application of the Gauss law. The second application of the Gauss law states about the electrical field at a point due to an infinite plane sheet of charge. In our last video, we have studied about the electrical field at a point due to an infinite long conductor carrying a charge. Here it is a plane sheet of charge. So let us consider an infinite plane sheet. So I have taken a plane sheet of charge of infinite size. So I have considered a plane sheet. And in this plane sheet of charges, you are having the charges to be distributed. See, the charges is distributed over its surface. So in this case, since it is of infinite size, we can't say the amount of charge available. So we have to consider surface charge density. What do you mean by this surface charge density? Surface charge density is represented by the letter sigma. What does surface charge density means? Surface charge density is nothing but charge per unit area. So the charge available in unit area. If you are considering the charge as Q and the area available for that surface as A, then sigma is equal to Q by A. Therefore, the total charge available is given by the value sigma into A. Let us take this as equation number 1. So, the charge available in a plane sheet of area A is given as Q is equal to sigma into A, where sigma called to be surface charge density. Surface charge density means charge per unit area and it is measured in terms of an unit called to be coulomb per meter square. Now, how to calculate the electrical field at a point due to this infinite plane sheet of charge? See, when you are considering the plane sheet as infinitely large, the electrical field should be same at all points equidistant from the plane and acting radially directed, or it is radially directed at all points. See, what I have said, what I have told is, and I am writing the concept here again. See, since the plane sheet is infinitely large, since the plane is infinitely large, the electrical field should be, same at all points, equidistant from the plane, and directed radially, and we can say their direction for electrical field directed radially at all points. Okay, what do you mean by this? See, I am considering the diagram again. See, this is the plane sheet of charge. If I am considering a point P at a distance r from this plane sheet, then we can say, or symmetrically we can consider another point on the other side at the same distance r. Let us consider this point as P and let us consider this point as P dash. The electrical field at this point P and the electrical field at this point P dash are considered to be same. So the plane, since the plane is infinitely large, the electrical field should be same at all points equidistant from the plane. So when you are considering the plane and if you are considering the center point as O, the point P and point P dash are equidistant from the plane. So similarly, if you are considering any points from the plane equidistant symmetrically, then the electrical field at that points are considered to be what? The electrical field at that points are considered to be same. Now, in order to calculate the flux or electrical field at these points by applying the Gauss law, I am going to consider what? I am going to consider a Gaussian surface. How I am going to consider Gaussian surface? Now I am going to consider a Gaussian surface in such a way that I am going to include these 2 points which are equidistant from the center. So the Gaussian surface that I have considered is in the form of a cylinder, and the length of the cylinder is considered to be from this end to this end. From the center point O to P is R and O to P dash is R, so it is considered to be of total distance to R, and the ends are of circular in nature. So I have considered a cylinder as a Gaussian surface of length 2R and of area A enclosing the points P and P dash. So at these 2 ends, P and P dash, you are having the flat surfaces, and the length of that cylinder we are considering it as 2R, and that cylinder passes through the midpoint perpendicular to that of the plane sheet. Okay, so I am writing how I have considered the Gaussian surface. So I have to consider the Gaussian surface. So a cylindrical shaped, okay, I have considered a cylindrical shaped Gaussian surface. A cylindrical shaped Gaussian surface. Shaped Gaussian surface. A cylindrical shaped Gaussian surface of length 2R, and of area how much? And of area A passes perpendicularly through the midpoint of the plane sheet. Through the midpoint of what? Midpoint of the plane sheet of charge. The plane sheet of charges. Plane sheet. So this is called to be what? This is called to be the Gaussian surface. Now you apply what? Now you have to apply the Gaussian law or Gauss law to get the electrical field. See, before applying the Gauss law, I will be calculating the electrical flux for the Gaussian surface. So electrical flux for the Gaussian surface can be written as that of the previous question. I can write flux phi of E is equal to closed integral of E vector dot dA vector, which is equal to closed integral of E into dA into cos theta. Here, when you are considering the diagram, again I will be drawing the diagram here. You see, when I am considering the diagram again, you are having the infinite plane sheet of charge. In this infinite plane sheet of charge, the Gaussian surface is passing perpendicularly through the middle of area A and length 2R. So the length of the Gaussian surface is 2R, and let us have the point here as P dash. Here let us have the point here as P. Now, when you are considering here, I can take, in order to get this one curved, so I am taking a small surface area on the curved surface, one on this flat surface and another one on this flat surface. If you are drawing the normal here, the normal will be perpendicular n cap. If you are drawing the direction of electrical field, the direction of electrical field E is here. So the angle between the two is theta, which is equal to 90 degree on the curved surface. If you are considering the two flat surfaces, on this flat surface, the direction of the electrical field is radially outwards, E vector, and along the same direction, if I am dropping the normal, n vector also along the same line, so theta equal to 0, because the perpendicular drawn to the surface area and the direction of electrical field are parallel. Similarly here, the electrical field will be acting radially outwards. So I am taking it as E. If you are dropping the normal also along the same direction. So here also theta equal to 0. See how I can write flux due to the Gaussian surface phi E is equal to closed integral of E into dA into cos theta can be written as integral of E into dA into cos theta for the curved surface plus integral of E into dA into cos theta for right surface or right end cap. Okay, end surface, that I am writing it as right end cap plus closed integral of A into dA into cos theta into cos theta. Here we are considering it as left end cap. So one is right end cap, another one is left end cap, and the third one is curved surface. When you are adding all, you will be able to get the total curved surface. Now you see flux phi E is equal to integral of E into dA into, here I am getting it as cos 90 plus integral of E into dA into cos 0 plus integral of E into dA into cos 0. Here it is for curved surface. Here this is for right end cap and this is for left end cap. So cos 90 tends to become 0. Therefore, since cos 90 tends to become 0, what is the value of the total flux? The total flux available is, see, the electrical field is E. Integral of dA is A plus, here the electrical field is E, constant. Integral of dA is A. So I can able to get the value as 2EA. So using the formula, the electrical flux available phi E is equal to 2 into E into A. Take this as equation number 2. But according to Gauss law, or we know that according to Gauss law, what you have studied, electrical flux available phi E is equal to the charge enclosed divided by epsilon 0. But the charge enclosed, Q enclosed is equal to sigma into A. Reason, since sigma equal to charge per unit area. Therefore, I can write, for according to Gauss law, flux phi E is equal to the charge enclosed is sigma A divided by epsilon 0. Take this as equation number 3. See, but this is from equation 1. Okay. Now, when you are comparing equation 2 and equation 3, what you will be able to get? So you compare. You can write comparing equations 1 and 2, we get, comparing equations 1 and 2, we get 2EA equal to, because both the left hand sides are equal, and equating both the right hand sides, sigma A divided by epsilon 0. So here this area on the left hand side, area on the right hand side get cancelled. Therefore, electrical field E is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon 0. This is the expression for electrical field at a point due to an infinite plane sheet of charge. See, from this equation you are very clear that we can say that the electrical field at a point due to an infinite plane sheet of charge depends upon the surface charge density, and it is independent of what? And it is independent of the distance. We are not having any value of r. So we can say from the above equation, it is clear that the electrical field at a point due to an infinite plane sheet of charge, is depending on surface charge density, that is bracket that is E is proportional to sigma, and also independent of distance. Independent of distance means that in that formula you are not having any r. So we can say at any point at any distance from the plane sheet, electrical field is considered to be same. So it is not depending on the distance. Whether the point considered is nearer or far away, then we can say that the electrical field is taken to be same. That is, we can say the electric field intensity is same at any point, whether the point is nearer or far away. Same at any point further away from the charged plane, or from the plane sheet of charge. Okay. Here also we can say whether the charge is positive or negative, what will happen. So here also I am writing it as cases. Special case 1 and the special case 2. If I am considering the special case 1, see, when you are taking the value of sigma to be greater than 0, sigma is greater than 0 means charge per unit area is considered to be positive. So charge per unit area is positive means then electrical field at point P, at any point P is acting outward and perpendicular to the plane sheet, or the perpendicular to the plane. Similarly, point number 2, I can consider like this. Similar concept I can consider by taking sigma less than 0. If you are taking surface charge density sigma less than 0, then the amount of charge available is considered to be less than 0 means less than 1, so it is negative. Then I can say then the electrical field at any point P is acting here. Since it is negative, it is acting inward and perpendicular to what? Perpendicular to the plane. Similarly, if you are considering this perpendicular to the plane, inward and outward, if it is outward, we have to put it out as n cap. If it is inward, I have to put it out as minus n cap. Okay, let us go for the next one, point 3. See, this formula, this equation that I have derived, E vector or E is equal to sigma divided by 2 epsilon 0 is true or holds good only in case of infinite plane sheet. Only in case of infinite plane sheet. But for a finite plane sheet, what will happen? For a finite plane sheet of charges, but for a finite plane sheet of charges, this equation is approximately correct, approximately true, or approximately considered to be correct. See, if you are considering the electrical field in case of finite plane, then we have to consider the middle region of the plane. See, in order to get electrical field for finite charged plane, one should consider the midpoint, one should consider the middle point, or we have to say the middle region, okay, middle region of the plane. And the middle region of the plane should be far away from both ends, and middle region of the plane and at points, and we have to consider at points far away from where? Far away from the edges or the ends. This we are calling it out as electrical field at a point due to an infinite plane sheet of charge. Again, let us summarize. See, when you are considering the infinite plane sheet, then in that infinite plane sheet of charge, what is the total amount of charges available? We don't know. So in order to calculate the amount of charge in an Gaussian surface, we have to consider first of all surface charge density. What is that surface charge density? Surface charge density is nothing but charge per unit area. So the total charge available is Q in a given area A, means sigma equal to Q by A, measured in SI units as coulomb per meter square. Therefore, the charge available Q is equal to sigma into A. The plane sheet of charge is considered to be infinitely large. Since the plane is infinitely large, the electrical field should be same at all points, equidistant from that of the charge. Here I have taken 2 points equidistant from the plane on both sides. At a distance r from the charge, plane sheet of charge, I have considered 2 points. One of the point is P, another point is P dash. Since the point P and P dash are at equal distances r, then we can say the electrical field at this point P and electrical field at this point P dash due to this plane sheet of charge is considered to be same. Now they are acting radially. If you are taking this as the positive charge, it is radially outwards. If it is negative charge, it will be acting radially inwards. That we have already studied while studying the electrical field at a point due to a point charge. Now, in order to calculate the electrical field by applying Gauss law, first of all we have to consider a Gaussian surface. So here the Gaussian surface that I have considered is also in the form of a cylinder taken horizontally, enclosing the 2 points where we are calculating the electrical field. So I have taken a cylinder, and at the end cap I am having what? At the end cap I am having the point P and P dash, which is being enclosed by the 2 closed surfaces. Let the area be A. Any value can be available because the Gaussian surface is an imaginary surface. Here we have taken the point P and P dash from the center as R. The total distance between P and P dash is 2R. That is the length of the Gaussian surface. And the area of the Gaussian surface is considered to be A. So I have written it here, a cylindrical shaped Gaussian surface of length 2R. And the area A is taken. And that Gaussian surface passes perpendicularly through the midpoint of the plane sheet of charge. So if you want to calculate the electrical flux for this Gaussian surface is said to have 3 parts. One is the curved surface, and the 2 end surfaces are 2 end caps. Now, so the flux for the Gaussian surface in general, the closed surface in general, can be written as phi E is equal to closed integral of E vector dot dA vector, which can be written as E into dA into cos theta. This closed integral of E vector dot dA vector can be written as, see in the below I have written, closed integral of E vector E into dA into cos theta equal to, I have removed this closed, so integral of E into dA cos theta of the curved surface plus integral of E into dA into cos theta of the right end cap or the right end surface plus E into dA into cos theta of left end surface or left end cap. So in order to calculate the value of theta, I am considering the normal drawn to the surfaces and the direction of electrical field. I am taking a small area on the curved surface, the normal drawn is upward and the direction of the electrical field is radially outwards. So the angle between the two is 90 degree. If you are considering the end surfaces, angle is considered to be 0 since the direction of the electrical field and the direction of the normal drawn are parallel. So theta equal to 0. By putting theta 90 at the curved surface and theta equal to 0 at the right end cap and at the left end cap, we can get phi E is equal to E into dA plus E into dA. Here E into dA becomes 0. Here you are getting E into dA into E into dA. When you are integrating this dA, keeping E as a constant, so E into integral of dA will become what? A. If you want, you can represent it. How you can mark it out or how you can represent it? See, here I can write since integral of dA is equal to total surface area of the total surface of the Gaussian surface. So I can write since integral of dA is A, I am writing integral of dA as EA plus EA, which is equal to 2EA. So I am rewriting that equation again and writing it as phi E is equal to 2EA and I am representing it as equation number 2. But we know that according to Gauss law, the total flux available in the Gaussian surface is equal to the total charge enclosed in the Gaussian surface by the permittivity epsilon 0. What is this charge enclosed? Already we have studied in the equation 1 that surface charge density is charge per unit area. So in 1 meter square area, the charge is sigma. Now the area is A. So the total charge is on cross multiplying, we can get Q enclosed is equal to sigma into A. So phi A is equal to sigma A by epsilon 0. Consider this as equation number 3. Now you take this equation 2 and equation 3. In equation 2 you are getting phi E is equal to 2EA and in equation 3 also phi E is equal to sigma A by epsilon 0. So both the left hand sides are equal. You can equate both the right hand sides. On equating both the right hand sides, we can write it out as 2EA is equal to sigma A by epsilon 0. A will get cancelled. So E is equal to sigma divided by 2 epsilon 0. From this equation, it is clear that electrical field E, see, from this equation itself we can write E is directly proportional to sigma. So electrical field depends on the surface charge density. If the surface charge density increases, electrical field increases and vice versa. But in this equation, you are not having the value of R. R is the distance of the point from that of the plane sheet. So we can say that the electrical field at a point due to an infinite plane sheet of charge is independent of the distance R. If it is independent of the distance R means at a faraway distances, the electrical field is considered to be same. It is not depending on the distance. So I have written the conclusion as a 2 paragraphs. In the first point, I have written that electrical field is directly proportional to the surface charge density, and the second one I have written it is independent of the distance. With that, I have written the conclusion that the electrical field intensity is same because it is independent of distance at any point which is far away from the plane sheet of charge. Now, the electrical field is considered to be a vector quantity. So if I am considering the electrical field as a vector quantity, here E vector can be written as sigma divided by 2 epsilon 0 into n cap. So I have to give the direction. The direction is always perpendicular to that of what? Perpendicular to that of the plane sheet or perpendicular to that of the area. But whether it is acting towards or away depends upon either the charge is positive or negative. So for that, I am giving that concepts in point number 1, point number 2 and this point number 3. You just consider the point number 1, special case number 1. If sigma, surface charge density, is greater than 0, that is positive, then the electrical field at any point is acting. Since it is positive, it is acting outward. But in general, it is acting perpendicular to the plane. So, if sigma is less than 0, then the charge is negative. Then it is acting inward, but perpendicular to that of the plane. And when you are considering this equation, E is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon 0, this equation is true or this equation holds good only in case of infinite plane sheet of charges. But if you are having a fine plane sheet of charges, this equation is not exactly true. This equation is considered to be approximately true. If you are considering a finite charged plane sheet, then for calculating the electrical field, we have to consider the midpoint or the middle region of the plane. And that midpoint should be far away from the edges. That we are calling or considering it as the expression for the electrical field at a point due to an infinite plane sheet of charge. This is the second application of the Gauss law. Again, this may also be asked for 5-mark question. Hope you should have understood. Thank you.